Back to Zoom. Okay. All right. And so everybody knows where we're starting today.
We're
And
about page 60 in the Penguin.
yeah, I think I remember I put that up. Anyway, we're going to start with a kidney oozed blood gouts. Okay, let me say just a word to future YouTube viewers. Hello, folks. James Joyce Readers is reading again today. And we are in the middle of the Calypso episode, also known chapter 4. And off we go. A kidney oozed blood gouts on the willow pattern dish, the last. He stood by the next door girl at the counter. Would she buy it too? Calling the item from a slip in her hand. Chapped washing soda. And a pound and a half of Denny's sausages. His eyes rested on her vigorous hips. Wood's his name. Wonder what he does. Wife is oldish. New blood. No followers allowed. Strong pair of arms. Whacking a carpet on the clothesline. She does whack it, by George. The way her crooked skirt swings at each whack. The ferret-eyed pork butcher folded the sausages he had snipped off with blotchy fingers. Sausage pink. Sound meat there like a stall-fed heifer. He took a page up from the pile of the cut sheets. The model farm at Kinnereth on the lake shore of Tiberias can become ideal winter sanatorium. Moses' Montefiore. I thought he was. Farmhouse, wall around it. Blurred cattle cropping. He held the page phone. Interesting. Read it near. The title, The Blurred Cropping Cattle, the page rustling. A young white heifer. Those mornings in the cattle market, the beasts lowering in their pens, branded sheep flop in the fall of dung, the breeders in the hobnail boots trudging through the litter, slapping a palm on the ripe meated hindquarter. There's a prime one, unpeeled switches in their hands. He held the page aslant patiently, bending his senses and his will, his soft subject gaze at rest, the crooked skirt swinging whack by whack by whack. Okay, next, please.
The pork butcher snapped 2 sheets from the pile, wrapped up her prime sausages and made a red grimace. Now, my miss, he said. She tendered a coin, smiling boldly, holding her thick wrist out. Thank you, my miss, and 1 shilling 3pence change. For you, please. Mr. Bloom pointed quickly to catch up and walk behind her if she went slowly, behind her moving hands. Pleasant to see first thing in the morning. Hurry up, damn it. Make hay while the sun shines. She stood outside the shop in sunlight and sauntered lazily to the right. He sighed down his nose. They never understand. Shoulder-chapped hands, crusted toenails too, brown scapulars and tatters, defending her both ways. The sting of disregard glowed to weak pleasure within his breast. For another, a constable off duty cuddled her in Eccles Lane. They liked them sizable, prime sausage. Oh, please, Mr. Policeman, I'm lost in the wood. 3pence, please. His hand accepted the moist, tender gland and slid it into a side pocket. Then it fetched up 3 coins from his trousers pocket and laid them on the rubber prickles. They lay, were read quickly, and quickly slid disc by disc into the till. Thank you, sir. Another time. A speck of eager fire from Fox's eyes thanked him. He withdrew his gaze after an instant. No, better not. Another time. Good morning, he said, moving away. Good morning, sir. Thanks, please.
No, better not. Another time. Another time. Good morning, sir, he said, moving away. Good morning, sir. No sign. Gone. What matter? He walked back along Dorset Street, reading gravely. Agendath Netem, Planters Company. To purchase vast sandy tracts from Turkish government and plant with eucalyptus trees, excellent for shade, fuel, and construction. Orange groves and immense melon fields north of Jaffa. You pay 8 marks and they plant a dunam of land for you with olives, oranges, almonds, or citrons. Olives cheaper. Oranges need artificial irrigation. Every year you get a sending of the crop. Your name entered for life as owner in the Book of the Union. Can pay 10 down and the balance in yearly installments. Lieb, Joyce, Strata, 34 Berlin, W15. Nothing doing. Still, an idea behind it. He looked at the cattle blurred in silver heat, silvered, powdered olive trees, quiet, long days, pruning, ripening. Olives are packed in jars, eh? I have a few left from Andrews. Molly's spitting them out. Knows the taste of them now. Oranges in tissue paper, packed in crates. Citrons too. Wonder is poor Citron still alive in St. Kevin's parade, and Mastiansky with the old thither. Pleasant evenings we had then. Molly in Citron's basket chair. Nice to hold, cool waxen fruit. Hold in the hand, lift it to the nostrils and smell the perfume. Next, please.
Like that heavy, sweet, wild perfume, always the same, year after year. They fetched high prices too. Mosul told me. Our beauteous place. Pleasant street, pleasant old times. Must be without a flaw, he said. Coming all that way. Spain, Gibraltar, Mediterranean, Levant, crates lined up on the quayside of Jaffa. Chap ticking them off in a book. Navvies handing them barefoot in soiled dungarees. There's what you call him out of. How do you, does it say. Chap, you know, just a slouch, bit of a bore. His back is like that Norwegian captain's. Wonder if I'll meet him today. Watering cart, to provoke the rain, on earth as it is in heaven. The cloud began to cover the sun, slowly, wholly, grey, far. No, not like that. A barren land, bare waste, volcanic lake, the Dead Sea, no fish, weedless, sunk deep in the earth. No wind could fit those waves, grey metal, poisonous, foggy waters. Brimstone, they called it, raining down. The cities of the plain, Sodom, Gomorrah, Edom, all dead names. Gomorrah, Edom, all dead names. A dead sea in a dead land, grey and old now. He bore the oldest, the first race. A bent hag crossed from Cassidy's, clutching a nagging bottle by the neck. The oldest people wandered far away over all the earth. Captivity to captivity, multiplying, dying, being born everywhere. It lay there now. Now it could bear no more. Dead, an old woman's, the grey, sunken, comfortable world. Desolation. Next, please.
Gray horror seared his flesh. Holding the page into his pocket, he turned into Echo Street, hurrying homeward. Cold oil slid along his veins, chilling his blood. Age crusting him with a salt cloak. Well, I'm here now. Yes, I'm here now. Morning mouth, bad images. Got up wrong side of the bed. Must begin again those Sandow exercises. On the hands down. Blotchy brown brick houses, number 80 still unlet. Why's that? Valuation is only 28. Towers, Battersby, North, MacArthur. Parlor windows plastered with bills, plasters on a sore eye, to smell the gentle smoke of tea, fume of the pan, sizzling butter, be near her ample bed-warm flesh. Yes, yes. Quick, warm sunlight came running from Berkeley Road swiftly in slim sandals. Along the brightening footpath, she runs to meet me, a girl with gold hair on the wind. 2 letters and a card lay in the hall floor. He stooped and gathered them. Mrs. Marion Bloom. His quickened heart slowed at once. Bold hand. Mrs. Marion. Poldy. Next, please.
Entering the bedroom, he half closed his eyes and walked through warm yellow twilight towards her tousled head. Who are the letters for? He looked at them. Mullingar. Millie. A letter from me from Millie, he said carefully, and a card to you and a letter for you. He laid her card and letter on the twill bedspread near the curve of her knees. Do you want the blind up? Letting the blind up by gentle tugs. Halfway, his backward eye saw her glance at the letter and tuck it under her pillow. That do? He asked, turning. She was reading the card, propped on her elbow. She got the things, she said. He waited till she had laid the card aside and curled herself back slowly with a snug sigh. Hurry up with that tea, she said. I'm parched. Kettle is boiling, he said. But he delayed to clear the chair. Her striped petticoat tossed soiled linen and lifted all in an armful onto the foot of the bed. As he went down the kitchen stairs, she called, Poldy. What? Scald the teapot. On the boil, sure enough, a plume of steam from the spout. He scalded and rinsed out the teapot and put in 4 spoons of tea, tilting the kettle then to let the water flow in. Having set it to draw, he took off the kettle and crushed the pan flat on the live coals and watched the lump of butter slide and melt. While he unwrapped the kidney, the cat mewed hungrily against him. Give her too much meat and she won't mouse. Say they won't eat pork, kosher. Here, he let the blood-smeared paper fall to her and dropped the kidney amid the sizzling butter sauce. Pepper. He sprinkled it through his fingers, ringwise, from the chipped egg cup. Then he slit open his letter, glancing down the page and over. Thanks. New tam. Mr. Coughlin. Loud Owl Picnic. Young student. Blazes Boylan's Seaside Girls. Next, please.
The tea was drawn. He filled his own moustache cup, sham crown derby, smiling. Silly Millie's birthday gift. Only 5 she was then. No, wait, 4. I gave her the amberoid necklace she broke, putting pieces of folded paper in the letterbox for her. He smiled, pouring. Oh, Millie Bloom, you are my darling. You are my looking glass from night to morning. I'd rather have you without a farthing than Katie Keogh with her Aston garden. Poor old Professor Goodwin. Dreadful old case. Still, he was a courteous old chap. Old-fashioned way he used to bow Molly off the platform, and the little mirror in his silk hat. Next, please.
The night Millie brought it into the parlour. Oh, look what I found in Professor Goodwin's hat. Oh, we laughed. Sex breaking out even then. Pert little piece she was. He prodded a fork into the kidney and slapped it over, then fitted the teapot on the tray. Its hump bumped as he took it up. Everything on it. Bread and butter, 4. Sugar, spoon, hot cream. Yes, he carried it upstairs, his thumb hooked in the teapot handle. Nudging the door open with his knee, he carried the tray in and set it on the chair by the bed's head. What a time we were, she said. She set the brasses jingling as she raised herself briskly, an elbow on the pillow. He looked calmly down in her bulk, and between her large, soft bubs sloping within her nightdress like a she-goat's udder. The warmth of her couch body rose on the air, mingling with the fragrance of the tea she poured. A strip of torn envelope peered from under the dimpled pillow. In the act of going, he stayed to straighten the bedspread. Who was the letter from? He asked. Bold hand, Marion. Oh, Boylan, she said. He's bringing the programme. What are you singing? Latim Darem with J.C. Dodge, she said, and love's old sweet song. Her full lips drinking smiled, rather stale smile that incense leaves next day, like foul flower water. Would you like the window open a little? She doubled a slice of bread into her mouth, asking, What time is the funeral? 11, I think, he answered. I didn't see the paper. Following the pointing of her finger, he took up a leg of her soiled drawers from the bed. No. Then a twisted grey garter looped round the stocking, rumpled, shiny sole. No, that book. Other stocking, her petticoat. It must have fallen down, she said. Next, please.
He felt here and there. Voglio e non vorrei. Wonder if she pronounces the right. Voglio. Not in the bed. Must have slid down. He stooped and listed the valance. The book, fallen, sprawled against the bulge of the orange key chamber pot. Show here, she said. I put a mark in it. There's a word I wanted to ask you. She swallowed a draught of tea from her cup held by knot handle, and having wiped her fingertips smartly on the blanket, began to search the text with the hairpin till she reached the word. Met him what? He asked. Here. What does that mean? He leaned down and read near her polished thumbnail. Metempsychosis? Yes. Who's he when he's not at home? Metempsychosis, he said, frowning. It's Greek, from the Greek. That means the transmigration of souls. Oh, rocks, she said. Tell us in plain words. He smiled, glancing askance at her mocking eyes, the same young eyes. First night after the charades, Dolphin's Barn, he turned over the smudge pages. Ruby, the pride of the ring. Hello, illustration. Fierce Italian with carriage whip. Must be Ruby, pride of the on the floor naked. Sheet kindly lent. The monster Maffei desisted and flung his victim from him with an oath. Cruelty behind it, doped animals, trapeze at Hengler's. Had to look the other way. Mob gaping, break your neck and we'll break our sides. Families of them. Bone them young so they metempsychosis. That we live after death, our souls, that a man's soul after he dies, dig 'em soul. Did you finish it? He asked. Yes, she said. There's nothing smutty in it. Is she in love with the first fellow all the time? Never read it. Do you want another? Next, please.
Yes, get another of Paul de Kock's. Nice name he has. She poured more tea into her cup, watching it flow sideways. Must get that Capel Street Library book renewed, or they'll write to Carney, my guarantor. Reincarnation, that's the word. Some people believe, he said, that we go on living in another body after death, that we lived before. They call it reincarnation. That we all lived before on the earth thousands of years ago, or some other planet. They say we have forgotten it. Some say they remember their past lives. The sluggish cream wound curdling spirals through her tea. Better reminder of the word. Metempsychosis. An example would be better. An example. The bath of the nymph over the bed. Given away with the Easter number of photo bits. Splendid masterpiece in art colors. Tea before you put milk in. Not unlike her with her hair down. Slimmer. 3 and 6 I gave for the frame. She said it would look nice over the bed. Naked nymphs. Greece. and for instance, all the people that lived then. He turned pages back. Metempsychosis, he said, is what the ancient Greeks called it. They used to believe you could be changed into an animal or a tree, for instance. What they called nymphs, for example. Her spoon ceased to stir up the sugar. She gazed straight before her, inhaling through her arched nostrils. There's a smell of burn, she said. Did you leave anything on the fire? The kidney, he cried suddenly. He fitted the book roughly into his inner pocket and, stubbing his toes against the broken commode, hurried out towards the smell, stepping hastily down the stairs with the flurried stork's legs. Pungent smoke shot up in an angry jet from his side of the pan. By prodding a prong of the fork under the kidney, he detached it and turned it turtle on its back. Only a little burned. He tossed it off the pan onto a plate and let the scanty brown gravy trickle over it. Cup of tea now. Sat down, cut and buttered a slice of the loaf. He shore away the burnt flesh and flung it to the cat. Then he put a forkful in his mouth, chewing with discernment the toothsome, pliant meat, done to a turn, mouthful of tea. Then he cut away dies of bread, sopped one in gravy and put it in his mouth. What was that about some young student and the picnic? He creased out the letter at his side, reading it slowly as he chewed, sopping another die of bread in the gravy and raising it to his mouth. Next, please.
Dearest Papley, thanks ever so much for the lovely birthday present. It suits me splendid. Everyone says I'm quite the belle in my new tam. I got Mummy's lovely box of creams and I'm writing. They are lovely. I'm getting on swimming in the photo business now. Mr. Coughlin took one of me and Mrs. will send when developed. We did great biz yesterday. Fair day and all the beef to the heels were in. We are going to Loch Owl on Monday with a few friends to make a scrap picnic. Give my love to Mummy and to yourself a big kiss and thanks. I hear them at piano downstairs. There is to be a concert in the Greville Arms on Saturday. There is a young student comes here some evenings named Bannon. His cousins or something are big swells. He sings Boylan's. I was on the pop of writing Blazes Boylan's song about those seaside girls. Tell him Silly Millie sends my best respect. Must now close with fondest love, your fond daughter, Millie. P.S. Excuse bad writing. I'm in a hurry. Bye-bye. M. 15 yesterday. Curious. 15th of the month too. Her first birthday away from home. Separation. Remember the summer morning she was born, running to knock up Miss Thornton in Denzil Street. Next, please.
Jolly old woman. Lots of babies she must have helped into the world. She knew from the first poor little Rudy wouldn't live. Well, God is good, sir. She knew at once. He would be 11 now if he had lived. His vacant face stared pityingly at the postscript. Excuse bad writing. Hurry. Piano downstairs. Coming out for a shell. Row with her in the Excel cafe about the bracelet. Wouldn't eat her cakes or speak or look. Saucebox. He sopped other dies of bread in the gravy and ate piece after piece of kidney. 12 and 6 a week. Not much, still. She might do worse. Music hall stage. Young student. He drank a draught of cooler tea to wash down his meal. Then he read the letter again twice. Oh well, she knows how to mind herself. But if not, no, nothing has happened. Of course it might. Wait in any case till it does. A wild piece of goods. Her slim legs running up the staircase. Destiny, ripening now, vain, very. He smiled with troubled affection at the kitchen window. Day I caught her in the street, pinching her cheeks, to make them red. Anemic a little, was given milk too long. On the Erin's king that day round the kish, damned old tub pitching about, not a bit funky, her pale blue scarf loose in the wind with her hair. All dimpled cheeks and curls, her head in simple swirls, seaside girls, torn envelopes, hand stuck in his trousers pocket, Jarvey off for the day, singing. Friends of the family, swirls, he says, pier with lamps, summer evening band. Those girls, so lovely seaside girls. Next, please.
Millie 2, Young Kisses the first. Far away now past. Mrs. Marion, reading, lying back now, counting the strands of her hair, smiling, braiding. A soft qualm, regret, flowed down his backside, increasing. What happened? Yes. Prevent? Useless, can't move. Girl's sweet light lips. What happened too? He felt the flowing qualm spread over him. Useless to move now. Lips kissed, kissing, kissed, full, gluey woman's lips. Better where she is down there, away, occupier. Wanted a dog to pass the time. Yeah, might take a trip down there. August bank holiday, only 2 and 6 return. 6 weeks off, however. Might work a press pass or through McCoy. The cat, having cleansed all her fur, returned to the meat-stained paper, nosed at it, and stalked to the door. She looked back at him, mewing. Wants to go out. Wait before a door sometime. It will open. Let her wait. As the fidgets. Electric, thunder in the air, was washing her ear with her back to the fire, too. He felt heavy, full. There was a gentle loosening of his bowels. He stood up, undoing the waistband of his trousers. The cat mewed at him. Meow, he said in answer. Wait till I'm ready. Next, please.
Heaviness, hot day coming. Too much trouble to fag up the stairs to the landing. A paper, he liked to read at stool. Hope no ape comes knocking just as I'm. In the table drawer he found an old number of titbits. He folded it under his armpit, went to the door and opened it. The cat went up in soft bounds. Wanted to go upstairs, curl up in a ball in the bed. Listening, he heard a voice. Come, come, pussy, come. He went out through the back door into the garden, stood to listen towards the next garden, no sound. Perhaps hanging clothes out to dry. The maid was in the garden. Fine morning. Bent down to regard a lean file of spearmint growing by the wall. Make a summer house here. Scarlet runners, Virginia creepers. Want to manure the whole place over. Scabby soil. A coat of liver of sulfur. All soil like that without dung. Household slaps. Loam, what is this? That is. The hens in the next garden, their droppings are very good top dressing. Best of all, though, are the cattle, especially when they are fed on those oil cakes. Mulch of dung, best thing to clean ladies' kid gloves. Dirty cleans, ashes too. Reclaim the whole place. Grow peas in that corner there. Lettuce. Always have fresh greens then. Still, gardens have their drawbacks. The bee or blue bottle here quit Monday. He walked on. Where is my hat, by the way? Must have put it back on the peg or hanging up on the floor. Funny, I don't remember that. Hall stand too full. 4 umbrellas, a rain cloak, picking up the letters, Drago's shop bell ringing. Queer I was just thinking that moment. Brown, brilliantined hair over his collar. Just had a wash and brush up. Wonder if I time for a bath this morning. Tara Street. Chap in the pay box there got away, James Stevens, they say. O'Brien. Next, please.
Duncan? Duncan, sorry. Sylvia is trying to connect. Sylvia just texted me. She's trying to connect. Oh, here we are. Thank you.
Will I go? Or we wait for Sylvia? Deep voice, that fellow. Lugdats has agenda. What is it? Now my miss. Enthusiast. He kicked open the crazy door of the Jake. Better be careful not to get these trousers dirty for the funeral. He went in, bowing his head under the low lintel. Leaving the door ajar amid the stench of mouldy lime wash and stale cobwebs, he undid his braces. Before sitting down, he peered through a chink up at the next door window. The king was in his counting house. Nobody. A squat on the cook stool, he folded out his paper, turning its pages over on his bared knees. Something new and easy. No great hurry. Keep it a bit. Our prize titbit. Matcham's Masterstroke, written by Mr. Philip Foyfoy. Playgoers Club, London. Payment at the rate of £1 guinea a column has been made to the writer. 3.5. £3.3. £3.13 and 6. Quietly he read, restraining himself. The first column, and yielding but resisting, began the second. Midway, his last resistance yielding, he allowed his bowels to ease themselves quietly as he read. Reading still patiently, that slight constipation of yesterday quite gone. Hope it's not too big. Bring on piles again. No, just right. So, cost of 1 tabloid of Cascara Sagrada. Life must be so. It does not move or touch him, but it was something quick and neat. Print anything now. Silly season. He read on, seated, calm above his own rising smell. Neat, certainly. Matcham often thinks of the masterstroke by which he won the laughing witch who now begins and ends morally, hand in hand, smart. He glanced back through what he had read, and, while feeling his water flow quietly, he envied kindly Mr. Beaufoy, who had written it and received payment of £3.13 and 6. Next, please.
Sylvia, we're at the end of episode 4, Calypso, the very end where he goes out to the toilet. Okay, I'll be finishing it. Might manage a sketch by Mr. and Mrs. L.M. Bloom. Invent a story for some proverb, which time I used to try jotting down on my cuff what she said dressing, disliked dressing together, nicked myself shaving, biting her nether lip, hooking the placid of her skirt, timing her. 9:15, did Roberts pay you yet? 9:20, what had Greta Conroy on? 9:23, what possessed me to buy this comb? 9:24, I'm swelled after that cabbage, speck of dust and the patent leather of her boot. Rubbing smartly in turn, each welt against her stockinged calf. Morning after the bazaar dance, when May's band played Ponchielli's Dance of the Hours. Explain that. Morning hours, noon, then evening coming on, then night hours. Washing her teeth. That was the first night. Her head dancing. Her fan sticks clicking. Is that Boylan well off? He has money. Why? I noticed he had a good rich smell of his breath dancing. No use humming then. Allude to it. Strange kind of music that last night. The mirror was in shadow. She rubbed her handclasp briskly on her woolen vest against her full wagging bub, peering into it, lines in her eyes. It wouldn't pan out somehow. Next, do you want to read, Sylvia? Have you found it?
Oh yeah, just about.
Yep, perfect.
Okay. Evening hours, girls in grey gauze. Night hours then, black with daggers and eye masks. Poetical idea. Pink, then golden, then grey, then black. Still, true to life also. Day, then night. He tore away half the prize money sharply and wiped himself with it. Then he girded up his trousers, braced and buttoned himself. He pulled back the jerky, shaky door of the jacks, and came forth from the gloom into the air. In the bright light, lightened and cooled in limb, he eyed carefully his black trousers, the ends, the knees, the hows of the knees. What time is the funeral? Better find out in the paper. A creak and a dark whirr in the air up high. The bells of St. George's Church. They tolled the hour. Loud, dark iron. Hi-ho, 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 hi-ho. 1:45. Then again, the overtone following through the air. A third. Per dignum. I'm sorry I missed that chapter. I'll have to.
Yeah, it is a good one.
All right, so we'll go on to Lestrygonians, chapter 5.
Okay.
By Laurie's along St. John Rogerson's Quay, Mr. Bloom walked soberly past Windmill Lane, Leask, the linseed crusher, postal telegraph office. Could have given that address too. Past the sailor's home. He turned from the morning noises of the quayside and walked through Lime Street. By Brady's cottages, a boy for the skins lolled, his bucket of offal linked, smoking a chewed fag butt. Smaller girl with scars of eczema on her forehead eyed him, listlessly holding her battered cask hoop. Tell him if he smokes, he won't grow. Let him. His life isn't such a bed of roses. Waiting outside home pubs to bring Da home. Come home to Ma, Dad. Slack hour, won't be many there. He crossed Townsend Street, past the frowning face of Bethel. Yes, house of Aleph Beth, and past Nichols, the undertaker. At 11 it is. Time enough. Dare say Corny Kelleher bagged the job for O'Neill's, singing with his eyes shut. Corny. Met her once in the park, in the dark, what a lark. Police tout. Her name and address she then told with a toodaloom tay. Oh, surely he bagged it. Bury him cheap in a what you may call it. With my turaloom. In Westland Row, he halted before the window of the Belfast and Oriental Tea Company and read the legends of lead-papered packets. Choice blend, finest quality family tea. Rather warm tea. Must get some from Tom Kernan. Couldn't ask him at the funeral, though. While his eyes still read blandly, he took off his hat, quietly inhaling his hair oil, and sent his right hand with slow grace over his brow and hair. Very warm morning. Under their drop lids, his eyes found the tiny bow of the leather headband inside his high-grade ha. But then I just next, please.
Just there. His right hand came down into the bowl of his hat. His fingers found quickly a card behind the headband and transferred it to his waistcoat pocket. So warm. His right hand once more slowly went over his, sorry, I can't read my own writing, bow and hair. Then he put on his hat again, relieved, and read again. Joyce blend, made of the finest Ceylon brands, the Far East. Lovely spot it must be, the garden of the world. Big lazy leaves to float about on. Cactuses, flowery meads, snaky lianas they call them. Wonder is it like that? Those singleys lobbing around in the sun, in dolce far niente, not doing a hand's turn all day. Sleep 6 months out of 12. Too hot to quarrel. Influence of the climate. Lethargy. Flowers of idleness. The air feeds most azotes. Hothouse in botanic gardens. Sensitive plants. Water lilies. Petals too tired to. Sleeping sickness in the air. Walk on rose leaves. Imagine trying to eat tripe and cow heel. Where was the chap I saw in that picture somewhere? Ah, in the Dead Sea, floating on his back, reading a book with a parasol open. Couldn't sink if you tried, so thick with salt. Because the weight of the water, no, the weight of the body in the water is equal to the weight of the, or is it the volume is equal to the weight? It's a law, something like that. Vance in high school, tracking his finger joints, teaching the college curriculum, tracking curriculum. What is the weight really when you say the weight? 32 feet per second. Law of the falling bodies per second. They all fall to the ground, the earth. It's the force of gravity of the earth is the weight. He turned away and sauntered across the road. How did she walk with her sausages? Like that something. As he walked, he took the folded Freeman from his side pocket, unfolded it, rolled it lengthwise in a baton, and tapped it at each sauntering step against his trouser leg. Careless air, just drop in to see, per second. Per second for every second means. From the curbstone, he darted a keen glance through the door of the post office. Too late box, post here, no one in. He handed the card through the brass grill. Are there any letters for me? He asked. Next, please.
While the postmistress searched a pigeonhole, he gazed at the recruiting poster with soldiers of all arms on parade and held the tip of his baton against his nostrils, smelling fresh printed rag paper. No answer, probably. Went too far last time. The postmistress handed him back through the grill his card with the letter. He thanked and glanced rapidly at the typed envelope. Henry Flower, Esquire, care of Post Office, Westland Row, City. Answered anyhow. He slipped card and letter into his side pocket, reviewing again the soldiers on parade. Where is old Tweedy's regiment? Cast off soldier. There, bearskin cap and hackle plume. No, he's a grenadier. Point of cuffs. There he is, Royal Dublin Fusiliers. Red coats, too showy. That must be why the women go after them. Uniform, easier to enlist and drill. Maudgon's letter about taking them off O'Connell Street at night. Disgrace to our Irish capital. Griffith's paper is on the same tack now. An army rotten with venereal disease. Overseas or half sea over empire. Half baked they look. Hypnotized like. Eyes front. Mark time. Table. Able. Ed. Ed. The king's own. Never see him dressed up as a fireman or a bobby. A mason, yes. Next, please.
He strolled out of the post office and turned to the right. Talk, as if that would mend matters. His hand went into his pocket and a forefinger felt its way under the flap of the envelope, ripping it open in jerks. Women will pay a lot of heed, I don't think. His fingers drew forth the letter, and crumpled the envelope in his pocket. Something pinned on. Photo, perhaps. Hair? No. McCoy. Get rid of him quickly. Take me out of my way. Hate company when you. Hello, Bloom. Where are you off to? Hello, McCoy. Nowhere in particular. How's the body? Fine. How are you? Just keeping you alive, McCoy said. His eyes on the black tie and clothes, he asked with low respect, Is there no trouble, I hope? I see you're, oh no, Mr. Bloom said. Poor Dignam, you know, the funeral is today. To be sure, poor fella, so it is. What time? A photo it isn't, the badge maybe. 11, Mr. Bloom answered. I must try to get out there, McCoy said. 11, is it? I only heard it last night. Who was telling me? Houlihan. You know, Hoppy. I know. Mr. Bloom gazed across the road at the outsider drawn up before the door of the Grosvenor. The porter hoisted the valise up on the well. She stood still waiting, while the man, husband, brother, like her, searched his pockets for change. Stylish kind of coat with the roll collar, warm for a day like this. Looks like blanket cloth. Careless stand of her with her hands in those patch pockets, like that haughty creature at the polo match. Women all for cats till you touch the spot. Handsome is and handsome does. Reserved about to yield. The Honourable Mrs. and Brutus is an honourable man. Possess her once, take the starch out of her. I was with Bob Doran. He's on one of his periodical bends, and what you call him, Bantam Lions, just down there in Conway's we were. Doran Lions in Conway's. She raised a gloved hand to her hair. In came Hoppy, having a wet. Drawing back his head and gazing far from beneath his veiled eyelids, he saw the bright fawn skin shine in the glare, the braided drums. Clearly I can see today. Moisture about gives long sight, perhaps. Talking of one thing or another, lady's hand. Which side will she get up? Next, please.
And he said, sad thing about our poor friend Paddy. What Paddy? I said. Poor little Paddy Dignam, he said. Off to the country, Broadstone probably. High brown boots with laces dangling. Well-turned foot. What is he fustering over that change for? Sees me looking. Eye out for the other fellow always. Good fallback. 2 strings to her bow. Why? I said. What's wrong with him? I said. Proud, rich, silk stockings. Yes, Mr. Bloom said. He moved a little to the side of McCoy's talking head. Getting up in a minute. What's wrong with him? He said. He's dead, he said. And faith, he filled up. Is it Paddy Dignam? I said. Couldn't believe it when I heard it. I was with him no later than Friday last, or Thursday was it, in the Arch. Yes, he said. He's gone. Died on Monday, poor fellow. Watch. Silk flash stockings, white. Watch. A heavy tram car honking its gongs slewed between. Lost it. Curse your noisy pug nose. Feels locked out of it. Paradise and the Perry. Always happening like that. The very moment. Girl in Eustace Street. Girl in Eustace Street hallway. Monday was it, settling her garter. Her friend covering the display of Esprit de Quo. Well, what are you gaping at? Yes, yes, Mr. Bloom said after a dull sigh. Another gone. One of the best, McCoy said. The tram passed. They drove up towards Loop Line Bridge. Her rich gloved hand on the steel grip. Flicker, flicker, the lace flare of her hat in the sun. Flicker, flick. Wife, well, I suppose. McCoy's changed voice said. Oh, yes, Mr. Bloom said. Tip-top, thanks. He unrolled the newspaper battle idly and read idly. What is home without Plumtree's potted meat? Incomplete. With it, an abode of bliss. Next.
My missus just got an engagement. Well, at least it's not settled yet. Valise tack again. By the way, no harm. I'm off that, thanks. Mr. Bloom turned his large-lidded eyes with unhasty friendliness. My wife, too, he said. She's going to sing at a swagger affair in the Ulster Hall, Belfast, on the 25th. Is that so? McCoy said. Glad to hear that, old man. Who's getting it up? Mrs. Marion Bloom, not up yet. Queen was in her bedroom eating bread and no book. Blackened court cards laid along her thigh by sevens. Dark lady and fair man. Letter. Cat furry black ball. Torn strips of envelope. Love's old sweet song comes to love's old. He's kind of a tower, don't you see, Mr. Bloom said thoughtfully. Sweet song. There's a committee form, part shares and part profits. McCoy nodded, picking at his mustache stubble. Oh, well, he said, that's good news. He moved to go. Glad to see you're looking fit, he said. Meet you knocking around. Yes, Mr. Bloom said. Next, please. Don, I think you need to unmute.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's okay.
Tell you what, McCoy said, you might put down my name at the funeral, will you? I'd like to go, but I mightn't be able, you see. There's a drowning case at Sandy Cove may turn up, and then the coroner and myself would have to go down if the body is found. You just shove in my name if I'm not there, will you? I'll do that, Mr. Bloom said, moving to get off. That'll be all right. Right, McCoy said brightly. Thanks, old man. I'd go if I possibly could. Well, tell all, just CP McCoy will do. That will be done, Mr. Bloom answered firmly. Didn't catch me napping that wheeze. A quick touch, soft mark. I'd like my job. Belize and I have a particular fancy for. Leather, capped corners, riveted edges, double action lever lock. Bob Cowley lent him his for the Wicklow Regatta concert last year and never heard tidings of it from that good day to this. Mr. Bloom, strolling towards Brunswick Street, smiled. My missus has just got an really freckled soprano, cheese-paring nose. Nice enough in its way for a little ballad. No guts in it. You and me, don't you know, in the same boat, soft soaping. Give you the needle that would. Can't you hear the difference? Think he's that way inclined a bit. Against migraine somehow. Thought that Belfast would fetch him. I hope that smallpox up there doesn't get worse. Suppose she wouldn't let herself be vaccinated again. Your wife and my wife. Wonder is he pimping after me? Mr. Bloom stood at the corner, his eyes wandering over the multicolored hoardings. Cantrell and Cochrane's ginger ale, aromatic, Cleary summer sale. No, he's going on straight. Hello, Leah tonight. Mrs. Banmat Palmer. Like to see her in that again. Hamlet she played last night, male impersonator. Perhaps he was a woman. Why Ophelia committed suicide. Poor papa. How he used to talk about Kate Bateman in that. Outside the Adelphi in London, waited all the afternoon to get in. Year before I was born, that was, 65. And Ristori in Vienna. Was this the right name is? By Mosenthal it is. Rachel is it? No. The scene he was always talking about, where the old blind Abraham recognizes the voice and puts his fingers on his face. Next, please.
Nathan's voice, his son's voice. I hear the voice of Nathan, who left his father to die of grief and misery in my arms, who left the house of his father and left the God of his father. Every word is so deep, Leopold. Poor papa, poor man. I'm glad I didn't go into the room to look at his face that day. Oh dear, oh dear. Phew. Well, perhaps it was the best for him. Mr. Bloom went around the corner and past the drooping nags of the hazard. No use thinking it any more. Nosebag time. Wish I hadn't met that McCoy fellow. He came nearer and heard a crunching of gilded oats, the gently champing teeth. Their full book eyes regarded him as he went by, amid the sweet oaten reek of horse-bit. Their Eldorado. Poor Jugginses. Damn all they know or care about anything with their long noses and stuck-in nose bags. Too full for words. Still, they get their feed all right and their doss. Gelded too. A stump of black gutta-percha wagging limp between their haunches. Might be happy all the same that way. Good, poor brutes they look. Still, their neigh can be very irritating. He drew the letter from his pocket and folded it into the newspaper he carried. Might just walk into her here. The lane is safer. He passed the cabman's shelter. Curious the life of drifting cabbies, all weathers, all places, time or set down, no will of their own. Folio et non. He liked to give them an odd cigarette. Sociable. Shout a few flying syllables as they pass. Next, please.
He hummed, La childarem la mano, la 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 la. He turned into Cumberland Street and going on some paces halted in the lee of the station wall. No one. Meads, timberlard, piled bugs, ruins and tenements. With careful tread he passed over Hopscotch Court with its forgotten picky stone. Not a sinner. Near the timber yard a squatted child at marbles, alone, shooting the tall with a cunning thumb. A wise tabby, a blinking sphinx, watched from her warm sill. Pity to disturb them. Mohammed cut a piece out of his mantle not to wake her. Open it. And once I played marbles when I went to that old dame's school. She liked mignonette, Mrs. Elise, and Mr. He opened a letter within the newspaper. A flower, I think, a yellow flower with flattened petals. Not annoyed then. What does she say? Dear Henry, I got your letter to me and thank you very much for it. I am sorry that you did not like my last letter. Why did you enclose the stamps? I am awfully angry with you. I do wish I could punish you for that. I call you naughty boy because I do not like that other world. Please tell me what is the real meaning of that word. Are you not happy in your home, you poor little naughty boy? I do wish I could do something for you. Please tell me what you think of poor me. I often think of the beautiful name you have. Dear Henry, when will we meet? I think of you so often you have no idea. I've never felt myself so much drawn to a man as you. I feel so bad about. Please write me a long letter and tell me more. Remember, if you do not, I will punish you. So now you know what I will do to you, you naughty boy, if you do not wrote. Oh, how I long to meet you. Henry dear, do not deny my request before my patience are exhausted. Then I will tell you all. Goodbye now, naughty darling. I have had such a bad headache today, and write by return to your longing, Martha. P.S. Do tell me what kind of perfume does your wife use? I want to know. He tore the flower gravely from its pinhole, smelt it almost, no smell, and placed it in his heart pocket. Language of flowers. They like it because no one can hear, or a poison bouquet to strike him down. Then walking slowly forward, he read the letter again, murmuring here and there a word. Angry tulips with your darling manflower punish your cactus. If you don't please, poor forget-me-not, how I long, violets, to dear roses, when we soon and me meet our naughty night's lark, wife Martha's perfume. Having read it all, he took it from the newspaper and put it back in his side pocket. Next, please.
Weak joy opened his lips. Changed since the first letter. Wonder did she write it herself? Doing me indignant. A girl of good family like me, respectable character, could meet one Sunday after the rosary. Thank you, not having any. Usual love scrimmage. Ben running round corners. Bad as the row with Molly. Cigar has a cooling effect. Narcotic. Go further next time. Naughty boy. Punish. Creative words, of course. Brutal. Why not? Try it anyhow. Bit at a time. Fingering still the letter in his pocket, he drew the pin out of it. Common pin, eh? He threw it on the road. Out of her clothes somewhere, pinned together. Queer the number of pins they always have. No roses without thorns. Flat Dublin voices bawled in his head. Those two sluts that night in the Coombe, linked together in the rain. Oh, Mary lost the pin of her drawers. She didn't know what to do to keep it up, It, them, such a bad headache. Has her roses probably, or sitting all day typing. Eye focus, bad for stomach nerves. What perfume does your wife use? Now, could you make out a thing like that to keep it up? Martha, Mary, I saw that picture somewhere. I forget now, old master or faked for money. He's sitting in their house talking, mysterious. Always the two sluts in the Coombe would listen. Also, next. Oh, to keep it up.
Duncan, you're muted.
Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think this is a good place to stop for today.
Okay.
So I'm going to put 6, 8, already June. Doo-doo. Okay, and there's that. Do we have someone reading Wordsworth?
I am,
Anybody?
yes. Page 70.
Page 70, okay. Thank you. Okay. Donna, you have your Penguin edition,
Yes, page 80.
page 80, okay.
I'm Bodley Head. I always forget what else works with Bodley Head. Duncan.
Okay, what's the Bodley Head page? Bodley.
What? 64.
64.
And it's 292 line.
Line 292. Oh, okay. I didn't realize Bodley Head had line numbers.
Hmm.
Okay, and that's probably what the Gabbler is also.
Yeah, well, it's a gabbler, is the same, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so Bodley Head is the same as Gabbler, maybe. All right. Yeah. Comments, questions, anything like that? Molly does give him the run for his money, I'll tell you that.
Definitely. And when she's fingering out the book looking for the meaning of the word of metapsychosis, she has a polished thumbnail, which I assume means that she has her nails done. She obviously doesn't do too much housework or anything. That would have been very
I see,
amusing.
because it doesn't mention any chips or anything.
Nope. Polished thumbnail, or Molly has.
Right. Well, later on we're gonna of course find out that the house cleaner or the servant girl had been discharged because Bloom, well, one, Molly was angry with her, and then Bloom had been not appropriate. So I wonder how long ago that happened.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, or the other way to interpret that, Anne, would be that she's polished her nails because Boylan is coming.
Yeah.
She has, oh yeah, because she knows he's going to be coming. Yeah, maybe so. She's obviously
Then
getting ready.
then she is an opera singer, so perhaps she's sort of made up for stage practically all the time.
Mhm.
Possibly, yeah.
Is it McCoy's wife who's the reedy soprano? Freckle reedy soprano. He says it's the line, and I thought, is he talking about Molly or is he talking about McCoy's wife?
Well, I think McCoy is talking about his wife, and then Bloom's talking about Molly.
Mhm.
That was the
So it's
impression I
McCoy.
got just from this reading.
Yeah.
Let's see where is that?
Yeah, page 67 in Wordsworth. Reedy freckled soprano. I don't have line numbers in this. Cheese paring nose. Is that so? That's McCoy's wife, who's not that good.
Well, sorry, jeez.
Yeah, I think because I don't think Molly's a soprano. What is Molly? Let's see. Mr. Bloom, strolling past Brunswick Street, smiled. My missus has got an reedy, freckled soprano, cheese-paring nose. Nice enough in its way for a little ballad, no guts in it. You and me, don't you know, in the same boat. Soft soaping.
Yeah, I think it's McCoy's wife. And McCoy's job is he some sort of coroner's assistant or something?
Yeah, because he mentions he may not be able to make the funeral because of the body may pop up.
Because I'm there going, it's the guy from the beginning, who's the panther shouting, "Your man has done him in." I know it's a joke. No, but in the first chapter, there's the guy who screams at night, and then they're both going into the sea.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. Different
They're
guy,
both going to
different
swim.
drowned body.
Yeah, what's his name? Mulligan.
Oh, Buck Mulligan.
Buck Mulligan and the other guy are going into the sea. and
Haynes. Mhm.
Haynes.
and Daedalus isn't going home that night, and I'm there going, oh, so Mulligan is going to sort them out so they don't have any more difficult nights. No, it's a joke, but you know the way everything seems to be connected.
Right. Well, there's a lot of, because Mulligan, there's a reference to Mulligan rescuing somebody. And then there's the actual body that everybody knows there's somebody drowned out there
Sandy Cove.
in Sandy Cove, and they're just waiting for the body to pop up. And that's actually mentioned quite a few times.
Yeah.
So the whole theme of drowning and appearance of the dead just keeps on happening over and over and over again.
And this thing about putting his name, McCoy says, put my
Mhm.
name down.
Yeah.
But there, I don't know, but in the North, there used to be a thing where people went to funerals and they gave offerings, they paid money, and, people minded how much you paid. They looked at it, and, the
Mhm.
priest read it out. I must follow it up, but I just noticed there, that he, that sneaky thing of trying to let on he was there.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. But McCoy's that kind of, McCoy's a glad hander.
And also he asks who's getting it up. Obviously it's boiling. And that happens again in Davy Burns's pub.
Mhm.
Whoever he meets in there asks who's getting it up. Again, it's boiling and not Bloom.
Mhm.
Little
Mhm.
reference.
Right. But then the whole thing about in Calypso, Bloom was talking about the next time he saw Boylan, he needed to, touch him up for tickets. I think a train ticket or something like that. You know what I'm talking about?
When he's
The
talking
little-
about going to see Millie.
to go to see Millie. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah, the
McCoy,
little-
I think.
Yeah, that's McCoy.
McCoy, I think. Oh no, it's not McCoy. 'Cause this is McCoy.
Yeah, it's Poldy
It's-
thinking about putting the touch on McCoy to get some tickets somehow, so he could get a free ride down to see Millie. There's something like that.
It is, yeah. Or else he could get a pass as if he was a reporter or something. It's very hard in this. I can't find. Won't be able to find anything. Now
Something like
the
6 weeks off. Who gets
Pardon?
6 weeks off? 6 weeks off. Just when there's that, when he's talking about going down to see Millie, he says something about 6 weeks off between getting the press report and so who has the 6 weeks off? Is it Millie or him? Or is he thinking of different versions of how he can get out of work?
I don't know what page is that, Orla, in your edition.
Okay. It's Millie's letter. Oh, wait a minute. I'm just trying to find Millie's letter.
Oh yeah, I see it. I found it. Better where she is down there, occupy. Because I might take a trip to it. Looks like only 2 and 6 return.
Okay,
I assume it's. I think what he means, Orla, is that it's 6 weeks to when he go in August.
Oh,
That's the way I read it.
Mm-hmm.
Would that would make sense? Wouldn't it? 'Cause it's 16th of June. So if he went down there, 'cause he does say something about August. Yeah, August bank holiday. So that would be six weeks from
oh yeah.
June
It's
16th.
6 weeks.
Oh,
off.
6 weeks off, as in
Yeah.
6 weeks
Yeah.
away.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the meaning of off in that case.
Yeah.
Because I doubt if anybody got 6 weeks off of anything. back
No,
in-
I wouldn't think so. When he meets McCoy and he's trying to look across the road at the woman getting on the horse and cart, so funny because his head is over across the road and McCoy is going on and on and on, and he's
Yeah. Well,
He
of
has
course,
no idea.
that's why that's first of all, in spite of the fact that in this other thing he's talked about, might work a press pass or through McCoy. So
Yeah.
I think the McCoy thing is something different than the press pass, but he wants to ask McCoy for something, but then because he just picked up the letter from Martha, and he wants to get away from everybody, running across McCoy is just an irritant.
Mm.
And then he gets distracted because he wants to see the woman getting up in the carriage.
Yeah.
So of course he forgets to ask McCoy for anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Oh, yeah. And then, I mean, yeah. And then the train comes in the middle of it and stops. And stops. So he was
Wow.
probably able to concentrate on McCoy then.
Yeah.
Well, except that he's irritated about the train then.
Because he's also going to try Tom Kiernan for some tea. He obviously
Yeah.
gets freebies all the time, but he couldn't ask him at a funeral.
Yeah.
Scream.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to assume that it's probably a little bit, it's in Ireland, it's kind of like here in Texas. We're always trading and swapping favors back and forth and working out ways to either get it cheaper or get something free or get a little help or whatever. There's always that sort of stuff going on.
But it's also to make it look as if you're not really asking.
Well, yeah. Well,
You're doing it the oblique way.
You're doing it oblique, but you do it obliquely because that also gives the other person the opportunity to appear generous. Even though in reality, you might be, like I'll tell you, in Japan, this trading things back and forth, it's an art. And like if someone does something for you or gives you a present, there's an actual calculation to where sometime in the future, when you see that person, you need to do something pretty much equivalent. Like if they give you let's say they give you a gift and the gift is, a 20 euro gift. Well, it becomes important to actually know how much that gift probably cost. So the next time, it's your turn to give a gift, you find a gift of around that, maybe a little bit more. And there's actually a vocabulary for that. And it's called gidi. And gidi means, okay, that person did this for me, so I owe them. And it's extremely important to keep up with all that stuff, which I'm kind of terrible about.
I know you can't generalize, but Irish people, I don't know, maybe younger people don't do it, but Irish people kind of do this thing. There's they could say, you must call in sometime. And you almost need to read whether they really mean you to call in sometime. Or, and Anne's laughing. Do you know, there's just a lot of stuff goes on with Irish people. I mean, young people are probably more straightforward, you know. And the way,
I wouldn't count on that.
I don't know, but I'm just the sort of things you kind of read.
Yeah.
You-
It's
you
just, I automatically assume, this is talking in Texas, if someone in Texas says that to me, if they don't put a date on it, if they don't
Mhm.
put some kind of time frame on it, I know they're just talking. They really, don't necessarily want me to come by at all. But they want to say something. But if someone says, we ought to get together next week, how about Thursday? Then I know, okay, fine. Otherwise, if they just say, well, we ought to get together sometime, like, oh yeah, yeah, we really ought to do this. This has been fun, that sort of thing. And it's still an exchange of pleasantry, but it's more on the theater level than on the real level. So yeah, in that regard, at least in my experience, the Irish are not being unique there.
No. Let's do lunch sometime,
Yeah.
which means never.
Never.
Yeah,
Or it means, if you call me up and you say, if you call me up next week and you say, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? It's a little bit of an open door, but it's not a big open door. Say, man, we really got to get, I remember when I was a university student, of course, we had no computers and all that stuff, and we didn't have a whole lot of money, and our big thing was going over to each other's house.
Mm.
And it was just like, every day, if we had some time, someone would either drop in on wherever I was staying, or I would go over to where someone else was staying, and we'd sit around for hours, drinking coffee and beer and, talking. But that ends very quickly after university's over, except with a few special friendships.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our Bob Doran turned up. Bob Doran, remember he was in the boarding house,
Mm-hmm.
and he's on one of his periodicals.
Oh, you mean in the
In the short stories, yeah.
when what Bloom was reading in the Jakes. Yeah.
McCoy.
Well, you notice that for those who read Finnegan's Wake, you notice the Norwegian captain, the humpback Norwegian captain, shows up also.
Hmm.
There's just one little very brief mention. But he's definitely oh yeah, here it is. In Gabblers, it's on page 49, so it's probably like page 53. And he look, this is during the thing he's thinking about the cattle. Let's see. Let's see, doesn't see. Chap, just a salute, bit of a bore. His back is like that Norwegian captain's.
Mm.
Hmm.
Wonder if I'll meet him today. Watering cart to provoke the rain. On earth as it is in heaven, a cloud began to cover the sun slowly, wholly. So this is after he leaves the butcher's shop, and he starts getting gloomy. This is the beginning of his gloominess. But yeah, no, it's just amazing how he keeps on referring over and over and over again to these different things. And then, of course, you notice there's the St. George's bell, the hi ho, hi ho. And of course, this is Bloom hearing the bells.
He hears
Okay,
them as
Yeah, he hears them as hi ho, hi ho, hi ho. And I believe it was at the same time in the earlier chapter when Stephen hears the bell,
Mhm.
he's hearing that kind of mass for the dead thing.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
Lilium Lilianthrum.
I have a note from the other time that I was reading it, and it says St. George's Westminster chimes, and that's the Westminster chimes, the hey ho.
Say the last sentence again, Orla.
That the hey ho at this point, you know what you're listening to, because there's music right the way through it, but I don't know the music. But that the hey ho there is the Westminster chime.
Huh.
And you know the way there's like the songs right the way through.
Hmm.
And so there's if there almost has to be a musical background to everything. So if you know what the music is, you'll get a different inference.
Yes. Yes. Well, and also you get a different inference depending upon your personality, what your concerns are. And so Bloom is this later on, Bloom will hear the same hi ho in Ithaca. And Stephen will hear the Lilian Lilianthum at the same time in Ithaca. All right. Well,
Of course, since I grew up on Disney, I think it's like the Seven Dwarves. You know, hey ho, it's off to work we go.
hi ho, hi ho, it's off to work we go.
And it's a 9:15, so I was going, except Bloom is definitely not going to work because he's going to a funeral.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else have any points they want to make before we wrap up today's reading?
Just wanted to give my apologies for next week. I'll be away on holidays, so I'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Where are you?
I-
Where are you going, Donaghan?
Just going to Alicante for some sunshine, but it's raining there. I should have stayed here.
I know. So they need, but
Um,
they need the rain. Apparently, they haven't had rain for a long time.
Yeah, I hope it stops by Saturday.
Hopefully.
Oh.
okay, well that's
I
this,
don't, because I have friends over there, and they're all really upset because there's been no rain.
hmm,
But it's warm. That's what I understand. So that's
And you're
okay.
on your holidays.
Exactly.
yeah,
And
I
you
suspect.
can't get wet on a high stool.
This is true.
All right, we'll have a good holiday. And
Thank
I
you.
suspect we're gonna have a lot of coming and going here in the next couple of months.
Sure.
But anyway, it was good. I enjoyed it a lot.
Me too.
I look forward to next week. And Donna, have a good vacation, and we'll see you when we see you.
See you in 2 weeks.
And Sylvia, I'm glad you're back from Florence. I'm not sure you're glad you're back from Florence.
No, I was in Florence and Rome, so it was raining. It was raining at the beginning, and yeah, we had some, and then we had a couple of thunderstorms and hailstones, and
Mhm.
really big hailstones last Thursday. Oh yeah, last Thursday, and yeah, but I wasn't near. They had floods in northern Italy. It was
Right.
really so
Right. Well, you know who was there for the floods, right?
who?
Chiara from the Dante reading.
Oh, and was
She had gone to Ravenna. She was to this big, I think a Dante and Joyce conference, and she was going to give a paper, and it really got messy.
oh,
She was pretty well exhausted by the time she got back to Ireland. But, so, but I'm keeping up. I mean, who knows what the weather's going to be? There's all kinds of very strange things going on. It's like hot in Siberia right now.
is it?
Yeah, it's hot. So, we're just gonna have to, I think we're just gonna have to get used to all kinds of, weather patterns that we don't necessarily experience before. That being
Yeah.
said, Donna, I hope your weather is great for you.
Thank you.
Good holiday, and I'm sure getting away will be fun no matter what
That'll be,
happens.
that'll be
Exactly.
excellent.
Okay. I'm
Okay,
gonna
Thank
see you
you.
guys in a couple of weeks.
Take